Wrong again. I'm showing up. What's going on? We here for the GP Mixer, and we will be live in the morning. I will be up at midnight to make my French toast and make my French toast, eat it, and get ready to watch the race, and then meet you all highlight live for the race. How y'all doing today? You missed some funny stuff, Reezy, in qualifying. You know, we had some funny moments. We had some good jokes on Latifi. You see, I got the big boy X-Max since Lewis is breaking out the RC truck toys. I brought out my big boy X-Max, 30 pounds, 50 miles an hour. We'll break something off of you. I challenge you, Lewis, to a race. All that. So let's get to some interesting topics. Let's get to some news that came out. Let's always get to some of the other normal things we typically do during these episodes. Let's go ahead over to this screen right here. Now, we are here first. Let's talk about this. Now, this here happened, and I believe this is FP1, tail end of it. Look at this. Look, this is Mick. This is what Mick is doing. These are the things Mick is doing. All right. Mick on an outlet, it's not even worth it. It's not even time to be trying to turn up to this degree. Mick's supposed to be getting the car back to the pits, back to the garage in safe fashion. And instead of doing that, what does Mick do? Mick wrecks the car. All right. We're not talking about just something small and dumb. Wrecks the car, literally. All right. Mick he's damaged the floor, broken the floor. He's broken the floor, front wing damage, front suspension damage, and he cracked the chassis. This is just more salt to the wound that says, should Mick be still in Formula One? And that's what I'm going to ask you all first in the chat. Should Mick still be in Formula One? Is he good enough to still? He's already in one of the bottom performing teams, Haas. He's in basically one of the gatekeeper entry teams. If there was an entry position, Haas and Williams are those two positions. They're like entry, or they're your last chance for salvation before you find the boot kicking you in your butt and out of Formula One. That is what those teams are right now. As great as Williams used to be, an angel fell from the heavens and has yet found a way to get back. Williams is that, and so they are where they are, and so is Haas. What's up? Mick doing things like this. He's been doing it at the beginning of the season. He's doing it now coming towards the tail end of the season. What do we got? What are we saying? Now, I know I myself have even said that maybe Mick should be allowed or have the opportunity, right? Have the opportunity, if he earns it, kind of pretty much to be in a situation like Gasly. But I'm not even sure right now if Mick is earning that opportunity. Forget the name. Forget the Schumacher name when it comes to Mick. Now, when it comes to Michael did what his body of work stands on his own. Mick has not developed a body of work that says he is as great as Michael made the Schumacher name. So at this point in time, I can't even say that Mick deserves an opportunity with a mid-level team for us to see if his talents are just being dampened by Haas, because he's not showing me that. I'm starting to get a little bit reserved on Mick. Like, Mick, you might be in line with Latifi on your way out. Latifi also is that. All right. Now, Michael Latifi, extending a $60 million plus credit to the team in hard times, extending a $20 million plus loan to the team in hard times, purchasing several ways or percentages into McLaren racing team. All of that stuff is good. And evidently it has given Latifi a bit of leeway and put him on a very long tether. I don't like to say leash when it comes to human beings. Put him on a very long tether in Formula One, but I think that tether is starting to tighten up and come to a cinch. That's all I'm saying. And Mick is running the same way. He has a tether due to what his dad did in Formula One. And that tether may be coming to an end. Not only because he is not proving himself, but how many people want to see the Schumacher name ran into the ground? I'm just saying. What's up, Galacticus? What's up, Mary Beanie? What's up, Reezy? So that's what I'm saying. Mick on a very short tether, all right? That's not going good for him. When you're out there doing things like that, nah, bro. Nah, bro, you can't be out here doing things like this on outlaps when it's coming down and you don't even need to be pushing like this. We're trying to get the car and keep the car back together. We all know Haas is one of the teams that didn't bring a bunch of upgrades because of even financial reasons. They waited and waited and waited for whatever reasons they wanted to try to display. Oh, we're doing this because, we want to make sure that we put the money in the right place. La-da-da-da-da. No. Haas pockets are not as deep as Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren, Aston Martin. They're not as deep as that. So they got to be very, frivolous about what and when they're going to do it. They may share Ferrari wind tunnels and Ferrari personnel and Ferrari offices and Ferrari power units and even damn well known the white Ferrari, but they're not sharing Ferrari pockets. They're not sharing Ferrari pockets. So they got to be careful. So is Haas... pretty much, is it coming to an end where Haas is like, yo, we can't even afford to keep this dude on the payroll. We can't afford it. Mick is costing us too much. He is. He's costing us too much. He's costing them too much money. All right? So to keep moving on, let's talk about this. Pirelli tires. Okay, now we saw this report come out Friday, just looking at some of the times that were developed, looking at the compounds. This was supposed to be the weekend where Pirelli was going to run a tire test for the 2023 compounds. Well, Suzuka definitely ruined that with the inclement weather, and we've been seeing a lot of that come this part of the season. We've been seeing a lot of the rain, especially on qualifying, on practice, and then going into race day. But this is becoming more and more of a situation. More and more of a situation. So the Pirelli tire test was totally damaged. It didn't go well. And now we find ourselves in this situation where they're not going to get to test these compounds. And the tire situation has definitely been a problem, not a problem. It's been a challenge this season, right? Towards the beginning of the season, we saw that tire degradation was, to us, which seemed premature. Right? Tires weren't seeming to last as long as they should. But then again, that also could be because the cars themselves got heavier. Not only heavier, but the cars themselves seem to be a bit faster than what they anticipated. The wheels are bigger. So there might be some variables in there that Pirelli didn't take into consideration, or maybe they couldn't even take them into consideration because when they were collecting data, that was not what they had. So they were trying to run this tire test, get some more data, run it to 2023, improve the tire compound, see where that's going to go. It's still going to happen. It's just delayed right now. We'll see what takes place with that, okay? Moving on down the list, let's go ahead and get into the PUs as they are right now. So listen, power unit elements as they are, I don't know what maybe extent, like, is this damage that Mick just has done, will that run to them having premature failure in the power units, maybe the RNCs, which we already know he's already over the cassettes limit, and so they'll be taking grid penalties for that. Not like it's going to hurt them as much as you see where they potentially are on this chart is typically where they are right now in the constructor and driver championship. But if you see right here, we got Mercedes, both drivers just over the line with 4 across that. And if you're not familiar with the limits on these areas, you're going to have 3 for ICE, 3 for MGUH, MGUK, 3 for turbocharger, 2 for ES, 2 for CEs, and 8 for exhaust. So you kind of know where these limits are. And the main limits that we are concerned about are the ICE, TC, MGUH, MGUK, which the MGUH will be gone soon, energy stores and control electronics. So as you see, Mercedes is just over that line on the 3. If you see right there, Max Verstappen definitely over the line. Perez just over the line when it comes to ICEs. He's pretty good everywhere else. So he might have he might not have to face any penalties given they don't have any premature failure or other unfortunate situations happen. Max, if anything goes down, he's going to be automatically taking a penalty depending on how that stands. Then we have Ferrari. Those boys, the Ferrari boys, are completely over onto the dark side. They definitely will be taking penalties, and they are in the situation where they don't need to be taking any type of penalties. They've already given up the Drivers' Championship. They're likely going to lose the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari has fumbled away their opportunities to come back in this season and do what maybe most of us thought they should be doing, which is making up for their slump in 2020. Or 2021, their slump in 2021, coming back this season and actually having a very good season. It started off looking that way, and then what do we know? It just fell off. All right. And if you all were here, you should have known when I was doing the quali watch, Max literally ran Lando off track by a chain of events. However it goes, he's responsible for the fact Lando went off track. Now, I think maybe they would have handed down a penalty had Lando ran into the barriers or went into the parking lot like Max wanted him to. I'm pretty sure Max wanted to run him into the parking lot, but luckily Lando evaded that. And initially, I thought Max avoided a rear ending from Lando, but no, Mad Max doing what he does best, running people off track. Good slide joke. Now, as we see right there, McLaren talking about Lando, he's completely over. Danny Rick, unfortunate situation today. He did not finish well in qualifying, but Lando is completely over. Danny Rick is right on the fence. I mean, he's right on the fence. He falls just a smidge over. He's already going to be in penalty territory. The Alpine brothers, which now we will have a new Alpine representative in that seat because Alonso's leaving. Gasly has been confirmed that he will be Ocon's new partner. And then we got to think about this. Who was Ocon campaigning for to be his new partner? Who was Ocon campaigning for? He was campaigning for Mick. So I got to ask you this. Chat, poll in the chat. Don't dance on it. Do you think made the best driver decision? Do you think Alpine made the best driver decision? Because Ocon was originally campaigning for Mick Schumacher, not Gasly, okay? But it is cool to have an entire French team, pretty much. Two French drivers, French team in Alpine. That is cool. I mean, it doesn't translate to winning on track or championships. It's just a cool thing to know. Also, it kind of isn't cool because it's like, why not have a mixture? But, hey, we also were talking about Audi potentially being a German manufacturer, German power unit, and having a German driver. One, not the entire team being German. But then again, it comes to Haas. Like, I have the same issue with Haas. How are you an American team tied to Stewart Haas, the NASCAR team, which is where you're birthed from, and you don't even have an American driver? And people can miss me with the crap talking about American drivers are not as good. Stop it. Stop it. We were just having a situation. We talking about Colton Herter going into Formula One and fudging the super license. Talking about Logan Sargent driving for Williams, which I believe Logan Sargent is going to drive for Williams in Coda. I believe that's still on target for that to happen. So think about that. I don't know when is Red Bull going to be, allowing somebody to drive them. I don't recall them doing it just yet, but if they have, they have. But there are some teams that have to catch up to that. There are some teams that are in a funny situation where they had somebody drive, but then that person got dismissed altogether, so it kind of doesn't count. So I don't know how they worked that out or if they even worked that out. But then if we also come down to AlphaTauri, they are over. They are over. And Gasly looking bad this morning, y'all. Gasly was looking bad. Gasly didn't even make it out of Q2. He didn't make it out of Q1, I don't think. I don't think Gasly made it out of Q1. Big deal, big news on him, and he don't make it out of Q1. Now, to be fair, he did have some reported brake issues, but it just doesn't look good, right? Like, the Alpine team's got to be wondering, like, damn, we signed a dude who can't even make it out of Q1. What the hell? Yeah, definitely. So that was something that didn't look good on Gasly's behalf, but hey, stuff does happen. And then we come on further down, Aston Martin and Williams sitting in pretty good standing as it sits right now at this portion of the season. They are on the fence as well. One more there, and they're going to be facing grid penalties. So keep that in mind. Alfa Romeo has definitely Romeo's definitely over. Like Bottas, butt cheeks Bottas is definitely, look, he's got the most out of everybody that's on this list. 7. And 7 ain't a lucky number in this situation. And then you got Zhou. He's had an unfortunate season, but luckily he's still here with us, especially after that last incident where the rollover hoop failed, but the halo saved his life. So thank God, thank the powers to be for that. Glad he's still here. Glad that didn't turn out catastrophic as it could have. And then we have Haas, definitely over. So, and we already know Mick Schumacher is over on his cassettes. So that's the situation right there with the PUs, okay? Now let's talk about some Lewis hate. Let's talk about some Lewis hate, because this is ridiculous. Now, whether you want to say, oh, this is fake or real, somebody to come up with this alone just says something. Just says something. And it's disgusting. It is disgusting to see a tweet of this magnitude with this type of energy, with this type of gross negligence on behalf. Galacticus, at least Gasly, do not crack. Hey, facts. Facts, Galacticus. Facts on that. You are right about that. You are right about that. So, I mean, look at this. Look at this tweet. Look at this. Someone please shoot Hamilton. I will pay any money you ask. Hashtag F1. Look at that. This is what I'm saying. Show me another driver on the grid that faces situations like this. Show me another. This is what I'm saying. Like, listen, forget this race car crap. Show me another driver on the grid that faces the scrutiny, the hate, the racism, the targeting, the threats that Lewis Hamilton faces and has faced since he's been karting as a kid. Show them to me. And then you could tell me somebody who has went up against that type of adversity, seeming in a sport that really didn't want him, but he was undeniable. And trust me, bad people will do good things for money. But this tweet right here is disgusting. We've seen several text messages, findings, people getting fired for things like this against one driver, Lewis Hamilton. And even if, check this out, even this is what I was saying, Reason, even if it's phony, think about the person that came up with this in order to put this energy out there. That's what I'm saying. That's what I started off with. Even if it's not real, it's out there. Think about the type of person that is still trying to put that energy out there. Period. Who else is doing? Come on now. That's what I mean. Like this type of energy, period. It don't matter. Like even if it didn't really come from this account, somebody still generated this image. Somebody still generated this message. That type of energy is what I'm talking about. Phony or not, it's developed. Somebody put it out there. Somebody wanted it to be seen. Somebody wanted this message to be seen, even if they didn't claim it themselves and they just made it up to put it out there. Somebody wanted this type of message to be seen about Lewis Hamilton. So we're not going to do the discount about it being a phony account, about it being fake. Somebody put it out there for us as the world publicly to see that somebody feels this way about Lewis Hamilton and would like said action to be taken. Was it not Lewis Hamilton who had a marshal who was responsible for driver safety on the track wish death on him? We know that wasn't phony, right? We know that wasn't phony, right? That was real. That happened. Was all the messages that we see with the derogatory terms, the lynching, the hanging, the N-word toward Lewis Hamilton, that's not phony. That's real. All the social media attacks to the point that teams and manufacturers and engine suppliers had to come out with statements saying that they battle and fight against racism and how disgusting it was. Honda was one of those people. Was one of those entities that said it was disgusting, the racial attacks that Lewis Hamilton was undergoing for a racing incident. That's not fake, right? That was real. That energy should not be out there. That's all I'm saying. It shouldn't be out there. It's crazy, but that's the type of shit that's going on. That's the type of stuff that's going on. So just real quick, briefly, we had to address that. Now let's address this. Let's talk about put your money where your mouth is.
Teeth. If you fraudulently breach the financial regulations, you will be losing your championship.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. No, where are we at with that? Where are we with that? Huh, Bron? Where are we with that? So listen, I understand. There are rumors. There are supposed to be circulation of leaked information out there as to how far teams that were suspected, Aston Martin and Red Bull, to have breached the cost cap. Now, I want you to listen to this. The leaked information didn't say that Aston and Red Bull didn't breach the cost cap. It said everybody that is supposedly talking to the leaked information has said that they didn't breach it as much as y'all thought. Are you really trying to hang your hat on that? You really trying to come here and hang your hat on that? Well, they didn't. Y'all need to shut up. They didn't breach it as much as you. The point is they breached it. And I never said how much they breached it. I said that if it's found that a team breached the cost cap, 5% or more for major, 5% or less for minor, either way it goes, you breach the cost cap. Therefore, penalties have been outlined in the regulations, in the articles, and I want to see those penalties issued to said team for breaching the damn cost cap. Period. You saying that they didn't breach it as much doesn't change the fact that it was breached. If I punch you in the face and I say, hey, I ain't punch you that hard, do you really care that I didn't punch you that hard? Or that if I try to punch you in the face and I'll glance your cheek, well, I tried to punch you, but I glanced your cheek. No, it's a fight. It's a fight. You're not trying to be like, well, he didn't punch me that hard. Or he tried to punch me and it just glanced my face. So, no, it's a fight. Stop. G5 MDS, Stunner lead at energy. From them is always there to change it. Focus our energy towards the light. Big facts, big homie. Big facts. Dab on that. G5 MDS. Big ups. That is a big, hey, you're right. You are very right. You're very right about the energy. Very, very right. So like I was saying, we not just talking about the cost cap, but listen to what he says.
If you fraudulently breach the financial regulations, you will be losing your championship.
And somebody need to close those blinds, by the way. So what's up? What's up? What's up? Why are we pushing dates back? Why are we pushing dates back? He didn't say if they breached it by 5% or less. He didn't say if they breached it by 5% or more. He said if they fraudulently breached the cost cap, you should lose your championship. That's what Braun said. So if I had said it without showing y'all that, all the haters, they're going to be like, oh, you don't know it. He said it right there out of his mouth. Ross Braun said it. If you breach the cost cap, the team should lose their championship. Where that energy at? Where that action? You didn't say by 5% or more, 5% or less. You said if they breach it. So if we find that Aston Martin and Red Bull are indeed the teams that breached the cost cap, if it's Aston Martin, they ain't got a championship to lose in 2021. All right, maybe they take away their copying. Maybe they take away their eligibility to copy other cars. It's seeming how they copy Mercedes, they copy Red Bull was a damn shame. You named the Green Bull, yet you didn't have no type of pace like the RB18. So why did you copy, and why are you going over the cost cap, yet your season hasn't even revealed like you took an advantage? Aston Martin, you looking crazy out here in these streets. Aston Martin looking crazy right now, but Red Bull, you got a championship last year off a fraudulent situation in Abu Dhabi. You shouldn't even have the driver championship. That's a fact. That's a fact. We already know what happened in Abu Dhabi wasn't correct. But even further, if Braun and the FIA are going to stand by what they said, if it is Red Bull, listen to my words, if it is, so shut the hell up in the comment section when you talk about, oh, you hating on Red Bull. I said if, and if it's any other team, if it's Mercedes, they ain't got a championship to lose, but they can lose some championship points. I'm with whoever is breaching to get the smoke because it's about upholding the integrity of the sport. If it's Mercedes, yeah, I'm definitely a little bit more disappointed because Mercedes has displayed a bit more integrity than that. And it's always more disappointing when something happens that you don't expect from said person's character. So yeah, you're like, damn, but I'm still like, drop the hammer on their ass. That'll show you. But if it's Red Bull, and I don't care if it's $150,000, I don't care if it's only $250,000. I don't care if it's $1 million, because if it's 5% or more at $145 million, that means $7.25 million or more, $7.25 million or less. That means from $1 to $7.24 million or $7.2499 million means you breached the cost cap by 5% or less. And if that is the case, Ross Braun said it, and y'all heard him, that the team should lose championships. 2021 is what it would be. I mean, what? Didn't he say it? He said it, right? That's what he said. I'm not making this up. That's what he said. And while we're talking about what teams are saying and what teams are doing, we just had a situation, and I talked to it, right? I talked about it. I talked to it about the whole situation that just happened, and it's so ironic that at this time and point, it happened to a team that is literally connected to the Formula One through a Formula One team, and Haas, Stuart Haas, fined. The damn crew chief is suspended for 4 competitions, fined $100,000 himself. The team docked 100 damn points. 100 points. Galacticus, you not lying. That's why, and likely that's why they stalling. So they can fudge the information, just like they were talking about fudging super license, and they can try to assess or allocate this money to another department that is excluded from the cost cap, okay? Because there are exclusions from the cost cap. There are things that exclude you from going over, like marketing, said things like that. I think we talked about some of these things, correct? I believe we talked to some of these things. Okay, so if we go into information as we were talking about the cost cap, here are some of the exclusions. All right. Now, in those exclusions, if you see right here, it says one of those things is marketing activity. Okay. So in marketing activity, you can have money that's allocated to that, and it doesn't count against the cost cap. Driver events or driver services don't cost against the cost cap. So if they are delaying so they can so-called they may have put the money in the wrong areas. No, they didn't. They didn't put the money in the wrong areas. What you're trying to say is we're going to give them opportunity to allocate this minimal amount of money because it's not even quite $2 million maybe. You can find somewhere to put it that is an exclusion to the cost cap, and therefore you won't go over. That's why the FIA and Formula One are looking like a joke these days. Thank you. I'm going to read that from John Trex, even though it ain't in the damn super chat. You should have put it in the super chat so everybody could have seen it. Even if it's 0.5 fart over, it's a damn breach. Ernie Simmons, yes, you're right. Any new VIP member on Sunday? Hey, no, actually, we got to see. I'll run the numbers. It might be the next following Sunday. But yes, we are. I'm telling you right now, it's like four or five members that's like this close. And I believe this weekend, if some of those members show up, because it's several of you making your way, but there's like 4 or 5 members that's right on the edge. And I believe this Sunday, if they are there and they're doing the super chats, they're likely going to, end up with their tier 1 box, okay? So, yes, big shout out, Ernie. Let me give you your props. Let me give you your shout out there, big sir, big ups. So, yeah, it don't matter. Any amount over is an amount over, and that's a breach. We shouldn't be sitting here making concessions, right? The rules are the rules. That's what Braun said. That's what he said. So then let's go into this. We got Valtteri fined 500 euros, breach of Article 34.7 for the sporting regulation. And that is for exceeding the pit lane limit, which is 80 kilometers an hour by 4.2. Now, listen, we already saw Russell had got one of these penalties, and he wasn't even 4.2 kilometers over. He was 0.66. Think about that shit. Russell was 0.66 over, and they fined him 100. I think it was 100 euros. Eric TB4 says, Let's be fair. Mercedes said they worked during the summer break of 2019, which was against the regs. Article 28.1, believe nothing happened to Mercedes. Okay, is that the cost cap? If we're going to be fair, let's also be fair. If nothing happened to them, that's still indeed a breach of those rules, right? They should have been penalized. So so if that's your stance, Eric, if you're being fair, then you should also want to see Red Bull or Aston Martin penalized for something they did wrong. Because consistently doing wrong isn't going to get us to doing right, is it? If anybody's reason to offer up an excuse that they did it, they got away with it, is that still making a wrong right? No. And even if you go before that, are you telling me that I can't find something that Red Bull did and that they weren't penalized even after they broke the rules? Let's be fair. Do you think it's fair for a competing team, an opposing team, to develop a test with the FIA in order to test another competitor's car? Do you think that's fair? Let's be fair. Let's be fair. First, let me give you your big ups for your super chat, bro. Let me give you your big ups. Give you your big ups to you. Do you think that's fair? If we talking about just let's be fair, do you think that's fair? I don't think that's fair. Do you think at all that's fair? No, it's not fair. And still, I'm saying we can't continue as spectators to allow this to be an excuse. Somewhere it's got to stop. And even if you want to look at the rules, a breach is a breach. So when are we going to stand up and say, hey, Formula One, FIA, we as spectators are tired of seeing the constant inconsistency? I'm a Red Bull fan. I'm a Mercedes fan. I'm a Haas fan. I'm an Alpine fan. I'm a McLaren fan. I'm an Aston Martin fan. I'm an AlphaTauri fan. I'm a Ferrari fan. I don't want to see these rules constantly broken and nobody penalized depending on their popularity and how it equates to your pockets in revenue streaming or commercials or marketing, or how it's going to sell entertainment. I want to see rules enforced so people and teams and organizations and bosses know you can't get away with the bullshit. That's what I want to see. That's what will make the sport better. And yes, I am in favor of having a cost cap there to keep the grid competitive. If we got 4 teams with very deep pockets, we're going to see 6 other teams that are going to be so far in the back it ain't funny. Every sport has a cap because of this reason, and it works. It works. But what's not going to work is if you have teams breaching cost caps and they're not getting penalized like you outlined. Or you're going to take penalties that you said you would assess, and you're just not going to, you're going to mix them in and hit them where it really doesn't hurt. No. Stop playing with me. Yeah, Honda owns the track. Honda built the track. They at a Honda track. They in Japan where Honda's home. Red Bull is running Honda power units. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. I mean, come on. Matt, if it doesn't happen at Suzuka, it's going to happen eventually. Max has run away with the championship. Charles has made mistakes. Ferrari's made mistakes. Mercedes' car did not start out where they hoped it would. If he doesn't win here, it's going to win somewhere. As long as he goes out there and races legitimate and the points add up, the points add up. I'm not mad at that. Ernie Simmons, winners finale lap tomorrow. Hey, Ernie, you know what? Come on, Ernie. You know I'm a G. You know I'm a G. Finale lap gonna run just like it do every weekend, bro. I'm gonna be up at midnight. I'm gonna watch the race at 1 a.m. and after the race, I'm gonna be live for finale lap. Did you see what time I was up today? I was up at 1 a.m. to be with you all live for qualifying at 2 a.m. my time. I'm gonna be up, bro. I'm committed to this shit. I'm committed to this shit. Mary Beanie, big up, dear. Big up, my dear. Straight up, Mary, I'm giving you the French toast. Big ups. Thank you, dear. Big ups. Mary, yeah. I'm just saying, let's get real about this. So Valtteri fined, listen, and this is another thing. Russell was also fined, right? Russell was fined 100 euros, I believe it was, because he exceeded pit lane, which at that time it was 60 kilometers an hour. He exceeded it at 0.66, was fined 100 euros. Valtteri exceeded 80 kilometers an hour by 4.2, fined 500. So therefore, if you look at it, it almost looks like you're going to roughly get 100 euros for every point, every kilometer an hour you're over. That's what it kind of looks like, all right? That's what it looks like. That's fair. Russell got penalized. He went 0.6 over. Valtteri got penalized. He went 4.2 over. But let's talk about something that is of question, and we've heard them talk about this. Let's talk about the fact that the FIA saw that documented by race instrument, by measurement, Sergio Perez was trailing behind the safety car further than he was allowed it to. 10 car spaces. Fell behind from, I believe it was turns 9 and 10. G5 MDS, we flying. Hey, G5 MDS, bro, what you talking about? That's a go comment right there. Speak on them. Oh, shit, massacre in the house. Oh, y'all done messed up now. You know you done messed up now. Massacre in the house. Massacre be coming with the super chat. Massacre. Maria Duncan came in here. She represented well with a nice little slide super chat. Massacre says they need to seriously punish teams who break the cost cap. It might be fair, but harsh to strip Max of his title, especially since their mess up created the Max Championship. Maybe make them carry a lot of extra ballast. God damn. Hey, I be telling y'all, when Massacre come with these super chats, my bro do not be playing. Massacre, legend, bro. Oh, snap. Buck, dollar, Puro. Where you been at, fam? Where you been, Buck? Buck says once Lewis break that last record, and he will, they gonna be hurting. Bro, you ain't lying. They gonna be hurting. I'm telling you, once he break, Buck says he gonna break it. If Lewis had the car this season, I believe he's competing for the championship and likely win it, but they don't. But yeah, so I'm just saying, Buck Dollars, nice to see you. 4-month family member right there. I love it. I love it. So this is what I'm saying. What's up with the fact that Perez penalty, it warranted investigation, yet the FIA decide, or stewards decide, we're going to wait till after the race. Yet, now mind you, they know that Perez breached or broke the rules by falling behind. He fell behind. Measurement shows that. Calculation shows that. There's no change in that. Yet, Latifi, which as bad as he is, we know, Crash Tiffy got his nickname, runs Joe into the wall, but yet has a reason. I'm not going to say valid, but he has a reason. And the reason is Joe was in his blind spot. He didn't see him. He moved over. Racing incident, it happened, right? It's not to say that Latifi still should not have received a penalty for that. But it's to say they issued Latifi a penalty before the race was over on something that legitimately should have required summoning those drivers, trying to see what went on. Whereas Perez, it's clearly identifiable. Under safety car situations, you fell behind the safety car more than we allow. You broke the rules, Perez. Still, he got a 5-second penalty. Not saying that he didn't get the penalty eventually. I'm just saying, what was the delay? Why did you delay that? Now, this is where the stewards and the FIA allow a gray area to seriously enter our minds as spectators and the Formula One product. It is debatable. You left it up for debate. You left it up for debate when they did that. If Perez did not exceed first place to the point where he would have been able to absorb that 5-second penalty without losing his position, do they still make that decision? These are the areas that you leave in contest. These are the questions that you leave in debate when you don't enforce the rules, when you don't carry out consistency as you impose those rules. That's where the problem is. That's what I'm talking about. They got to stop doing that. They got to stop doing that. All right? So, Valtteri fined 500 euros. Now, you say 500 ain't a lot. Shit, 500 euros is a lot of money when it ain't on something you want to spend it on. Like, I spent $2,000 getting this truck putting what I want on it, the tires on it, putting the internals that I want on it, getting my steering wheel, getting everything that I want. I spent $2,000, the kit, the 8S power system, $2,000 right here on this truck. Some people might look at this truck and say, you know what, Wolfpack, $2,000 on this truck is a lot of money. Well, that's because you don't value RC, right? You're not into it like that. You don't want to have a truck that you can go out and bash and it doesn't break up at the first time you hit a curb. It goes over the curb. You don't want to spend that. That's a lot of money. So don't say 500 euros is not a lot of money to Bottas because it's $500 that he didn't want to spend it. He didn't want to spend $500 on a damn fine. So yeah, to him, that's some damn money. Shit. When you spending money on things you don't want to spend it on, it's a lot of money. Like right now, I got damn my ceiling out. They pulling up my floors. They pulling up my wood floors. Hell, I'm losing a lot of money, right? Insurance say they're not even paying for the plumbing. I got to pay for that. Plus take care of everything else. Plus pay for equipment. Shit, trust me, money, come on now. If fines matter, and that's why you got to find the teams and you got to duck them these points for if they breach the cost cap. So that's what we got going on with Bottas. Let's go down to our next topic, all right? Let's talk about this. Here we go. 2023 driver lineup anticipated comes out. This morning or last night, very, very interesting, nice news comes out. Gasly is committed to Alpine, and luckily, Alpine make a post, and Gasly does not contradict that post by saying, I never signed anything. So Alpine, congratulations. You learned your lesson after going through the recognition board, the contract CRB, the contract recognition board. Alpine might have learned a lesson about posting about a driver who has committed that hasn't committed. Gasly's going to Alpine. That leaves the AlphaTauri seat open, which De Vries is committed to AlphaTauri. So now we have two seats that are open because Mick is leaving, Haas, and Latifi is leaving, Williams. Nobody want to spend money on stuff not needed. Facts. That's a big fact. You're not lying about that. Galacticus, you ain't lying. Nobody want to spend money on shit like that. You right. Shit, when the $500 butt cheeks Bottas was probably like, I was going to go spend that on a nice dinner. So this is my question. Poll in the chat. Don't dance on it. Just vote on it. Poll in the chat. Don't dance on it. Just vote on it. Full send and it's off. Should Danny Rick be considered for one of these seats? Some people have been talking crazy talk to me, saying that Danny doesn't deserve to be in Formula One anymore. That's bull. That's a bunch of bull, and that is not right. Latifi has earned the right not to be in Formula One. Mick is on his way to earning the right not to be in Formula One. I can't count Danny Ricciardo out like that. He ain't nowhere near that bad. Come on. He's not that bad. That's just, people saying that are just really being unfair and harsh. Danny Rick does not deserve to be out of Formula One. He deserves to at least have one of these seats. If he goes to a reserve driver role, that's not a good look for him. And Hamilton said it best. Hamilton was asked the question, would you like Daniel to be a part of the team Mercedes as a reserve driver? And no, I wouldn't, because I think he's better than that. And Danny Rick is better than being somebody's reserve driver. I do really believe that. I think he jumped ship too soon with Renault, which is now Alpine. I think he jumped ship too soon. I don't think that, the pairing with Lando was as great for him. McLaren is going to be a team that will make it back. I'm thinking McLaren will make it back next season. I think they're going to reclaim some of that energy they lost from 2021 coming into 2022. I think McLaren claimed some of that. They did all right last race in Singapore. They did better than I expected. Danny Rick went out, soon in qualifying, but Norris held up. I think there'll be a team that makes their way back, but I don't think Daniel deserves to be out. I don't think he deserves to be a reserve driver. I think Daniel deserves one of these seats at Haas or Williams, and if he can't pull his bootstraps together, then he should find his way out. Messiker, I know, Messiker. Mick out there being silly, Messiker. He being silly out here in the streets, man. I know. Eric, and you had high hopes for Messiker. Messiker had high hopes for Mick. I'm telling you. Mick, actually, I had hopes for Mick too, but it didn't work out. It didn't. Eric, Wolf, you think the new regulations suit Mercedes more than other teams? Only saying this because Mercedes was the team struggling the most. No, I do not think. I don't think the regulations were made to suit Mercedes. I don't. Honestly, if let me give you your big ups first, bro. Because I'll get into this conversation and forget. If you look at it, right? Let's just look at something, and we're not talking about we're indicting anybody. Let's just look at something. Out of anybody on the grid or any team, matter of fact, hold on, I got one more. I got you, Galactus. It's running slow. Galacticus, Danny Rick jumped too many times and did not deliver. That's a fact too. I made that point. Galacticus, I made that exact point that he jumped ship for the bag too many times and he did not prove his weight worth the money that he was getting. So back to Eric. All right, now listen, if you really want to look at it, right, these new regulations, what is the main difference that was added to this season? Ground effects. That changed the game. Of course, the car changed aesthetically and on top and supposed to be closer to drive, but they added ground effects. What team on the grid, in the chat, tell me what team on the grid already had an engineer in place that probably is one of few people to have the knowledge of when ground effects was introduced in the Formula One back in the Williams era. What team on the grid has that engineer? Anybody want to answer that in the chat? What team on the grid has an engineer that is very fond and very informative of ground effects? Anybody? Anybody? Go ahead. You can answer it. No. We talk. I know. I'm gonna walk us through that. But what team on the Red Bull? Thank you, Mary. Red Bull. Adrian Newey. So if we really want to get into that, right? Just hold on. I'm gonna walk you through it. If we really want to get into that, if the regulations were gonna suit anybody, somebody else, Ross Brawn, right? Former Ferrari. Red Bull, Adrian Newey. Legend when it comes to developing cars and abundant information with ground effects, it would be Red Bull and Ferrari. It wouldn't be Mercedes. But let's go up further as we already have ground effects. We see that porpoising is an issue. Nobody foresaw that, supposedly. And now they go into raising the ride height, right? Or did they implement a vertical acceleration limit that if you are found to exceed these limits, then you have to do something about it, right? Right? So really, if your car's fast, and let's say if they raise the car limit by 2 millimeters for everybody, right? Just a number. Everybody's still on the same playing field. Nothing really is changing. Red Bull still has the fastest power unit. Honda, they're still the fastest car on the grid. They still have ground effects. Who has the most knowledge about ground effects? Adrian Newey on the grid, currently working with Red Bull and developing that car. Who recruited the most Mercedes employees on the grid? Red Bull. So even if you go up to raising the car, were the new regulations overall fitting for Mercedes? No. If they had to be, if you told me that I didn't have a choice, and I'm going to tell you what my choice is after this. If you told me I didn't have a choice, I had to pick a team that suited the regulations for 2022 better than any other team, I'm going to say Red Bull first, Ferrari next. But my personal opinion is, it just is what it is. Red Bull just had the better foot up because they had Adrian Newey, had the experience. It is what it is. I'm not indicting Red Bull on that. No, not at all. But you would have a lot of haters would say that I am, but I'm not. It is what it is. You can't blame me because I employed the guy who has the most knowledge about ground effects before they came out, or I knew that eventually this was coming, so I jumped on it. That might be a different issue. But still, it's a hire. He hired him legally. It's not like he hired him illegally. If he knew something was coming, that's a whole different issue. But the hire was legit. But the fact that he might have had kernel knowledge, which promoted him to make that hire back then, that's something else. But all of that shit is a bunch of if and coulda and whiff. And if was a damn bottle of liquor, we all be drunk. That's doing too much. It just is what it is, in my opinion. That's what I feel. It just is what it is. All right, so let's go ahead down to this. So we got Ocon, Gasly paired up. That's what's going on. Shout out. Now, this is something else that we got going on right here. 2023, it is announced that we are going to a 24 race calendar season. This season, we had 22, right? We had 22 races this season, I believe. 22 this season. 3 sprint races. Next season, we're going to 24 races total and a total of 6 sprint races. So that's 2 more additional races on the calendar, circuits on the calendar. And that's also 3 more sprint races than we probably would like. I think it's fair to say the extra races, it could go either way, right? It could go either way. Thank you, Blue Diva. I see you right there with that knowledge. You're right. And that sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like, rest in peace, shout out to Senna. I definitely don't want to indict Williams that heavy, but Blue Diva, you know, hella knowledge in Formula One. A lot of y'all be on here and you really don't know some of these people been watching Formula One for 30 plus years. Like people in my community, it's funny because I get people that probably been watching Formula One, and I don't indict anybody whether you started last season, 2 seasons. It's about your knowledge and your acumen, your ability, your motivation to learn and learn more about the sport, right? But there are people in my community that have been watching Formula One since the shit started. I'm talking about, I got people in my community that are 70 years old, 65 years old, 60 years old. They've been watching Formula One for a long time. So big shout out when we get people like Blue Diva in here putting a little knowledge in there with her personal perspective, paired with that knowledge that some of us may not even have because you didn't start watching Formula One, whether that be 10 years, 5 years, or 2 years ago. But still, it's important and valuable to have people from different walks of life, different parts of the country that have been watching this sport for a long time check me. Because sometimes they help keep me right. Like, hey, Wolfpack, I know you said this, but this is kind of how I saw it unfold. And I personally was watching the sport when it happened. I enjoy that. This is a learning community. Add value to the comment section. Don't leave a bunch of cheap bullshit shots. So we got 24 races, 3 more sprints, making a total of 6 sprints, 24 races. How do y'all feel about that? I'm going to end this poll because 61% of y'all said no. 61% of y'all said yes, and I believe that is correct. Now I'm going to ask you this. Like, (2023). All right, there you go. Poll in the chat. Don't dance on it. Just vote on it. How do you all feel about 24 races and 6 sprints? I'm not feeling so great about the 6 sprints. I think, honestly, 3 sprints in a season is good enough for me, especially if they keep the same format. I made a video about this. I believe they should update the format to be a bit more competitive, spread the points to teams that are still competing that haven't gotten them, teams that we know already got points and are going to get points and continue to get more points. That's not really doing a good, like, faith, I understand. But like I said, teams that aren't getting points, hungry drivers that want to race hard for points, go in the sprint so we can see a dogfight 2 days in a row. We get to see a dogfight in the sprint, and I understand if they wreck, that costs the teams money, but that is what it is. Oh, well. They're going to do that anyway. And then the other 10 or whatever drivers go into regular qualifying to decide the top packing order. They just need to reformat the sprint in order for it to be interesting. It's not interesting right now. I'm not mad about the additional 2 races, but let's not be fooled. It's going to add to more points and opportunity and more races to get podiums to break more records. And if you all, and I'm going to say this, wait, Eric, T, before I got you. Wolf, how many teams want the regs to change for 2023? I can only think of 2 teams. Other teams, you really don't want any changes. Well, I mean, we can go through and see how many teams want to be changed, Eric. But at the end of the day, will it happen or does it happen? I mean, we had 3 teams that were opposed to raising the limit for the cost cap. We had teams that wanted the cost cap to be raised. Red Bull was one of those teams that wanted the cost cap to be raised. So if regulations are going to change, I think they should go into a meeting, majority rule, look at the regs, look at the safety factors, and then make the necessary changes, just like Pirelli did. You do realize Pirelli literally used to make a tire that was specifically made for Michael Schumacher, and the rest of the teams during this entire tire shootout had to deal with it. They literally were making a tire for Michael Schumacher. Now the tires are made evenly across and teams have to deal with it. That's what you call making things even. That's what you call a good check. As long as they could do that with the regs, and it adds to more competitive driving, not a landslide on one side or the other, I'm for it. Whatever. 4 sprints for the bottom 5 teams would be. Galacticus, you preaching to the choir, man. You preaching from the same pulpit. We standing side by side saying the same thing. I made an entire video about it. I feel you. I'm with that. So then let's go to the next topic on this. Because we having a good little mix. I love having these mixers. Let's talk about this guy right here. Let's talk about Charles. Charles, has he just did himself a disservice this season? Or has Ferrari done Charles more of a disservice this season? What do y'all think? Matter of fact, I'm going to put a poll in the chat. You tell me. I'm going to put a poll in the chat. You tell me. Majority of the blame for the failed season. Here we go. Poll in the chat. Don't dance on it. Just vote on it. Ferrari. Damn, these keys. Here we go. Bow. Poll in the chat. Don't dance on it. Just vote on it. Who do you think holds majority of the blame for the failed season for Ferrari? Ferrari as an entity, the organization, being Bonotto, the engineers, the team, or the drivers? Bridgestone, my bad, you're right. I thought it was Pirelli. It was Bridgestone. 4 sprints for the bottom. Ernie, Bridgestone. Correct. You're right. Correct. It was Bridgestone. Big ups. Let me give you the dab for that. Thank you for the correction. That's what I'm saying. See, I could take constructors. You're right. It was Bridgestone. So, yeah. Who do y'all think should share a majority of the blame, Ferrari or the drivers? Because we know Charles made mistakes, Carlos made mistakes, but my personal opinion is Ferrari as a team failed their drivers this year for the championship, big time. Galacticus, both, they made a lot of mistakes on both sides. They did, but I got to ask you, who shares the most? And to me, I think it's Ferrari as a team with the strategies, with the failed power units. I mean, Charles and Carlos can't do nothing about the power units failing, and we saw Ferrari power units fail throughout the grid to their customers. Haas, Alfa Romeo, we saw the Ferrari power units failing. So that, we can't hang that on Charles and Carlos. We saw them implement horrible tire strategies, pit stop strategies, race strategies. We ain't holding that all on Carlos and Charles, are we? Now, I'm holding that Carlos running off track trying to be like his dad and be a rally driver in a Formula One race, that's against Carlos. Charles pushing too hard, making mistakes on track, spinning off, losing vital championship points, that's on Charles. But I think majority of the season was on Ferrari, in my opinion. Yeah, see, that's what I say. If you had to pick one, I'm picking Ferrari, for sure. For sure, I'm picking Ferrari. Definitely. And then the next topic, let's get into this. Let's see. What's up? What y'all thinking this weekend? Is Carlos, Charles, going to be up there again with Perez leading the way, or are we about to see a total power swap and see Perez return to normal form all of a sudden and Max run it up? Because it was sure interesting that Max was unable to take that RB18 and blast through the grid like any other time that we've seen him do it. Now, I understand they want to say, you know, Singapore is a track that's like it's a bit prettier Monaco and overtaking's harder. With the power that's in that RB18, are you telling me that it mitigated Max to the level that he couldn't come up harder than that? He couldn't come up the grid faster than that? He couldn't make up more position than that? Or did Max have a shit drive as a driver? Because he made some mistakes. We saw other drivers make mistakes too. Hamilton made a mistake. Driving through a puddle of water trying to overtake on Sebastian while you got Max on your back is not the best thing to do. You risk too much. If you don't make it, you risk Max getting around. Even if you do make it, you towing Max with you. Hamilton made an ill-advised move, but he tried to make a move and it didn't work out. We saw Max make some moves that didn't work out either. Right off into the runoff area. So, was it a shit drive by Max? Or was it just, you tell me. I'll let y'all tell me. But are we going to see Perez moving up again? Or are we going to see this gap between Max and Perez and Red Bull like we've seen and we questioned it for so long, right? And I'll probably end up going on live. I might go live again tonight. I ain't going to even lie to you. I might go live again tonight. I might not. I might go later on. It just depends on how I feel. I want to talk to y'all as much as possible because we got so much time, right? We got time between the next race, not till like 1 a.m. Oh, I got you, Eric. Hold on. I got you. I see the super chat. Hold on, fam. Hold on. I got you. Well, not fam, but I got you. FIA removed the porpoising metrics. That's for safety in Singapore. Okay. We need a new FIA. Nothing is adding up or sounding right. Eric, let me address that. I will address that because I addressed it too. Good point. First of all, removing the limit didn't change anything like that. You had the limit in place for safety. The track being more bumpy is not changing anything for the drivers, right? Like if it's bumpy, if the vertical limit can be exceeded, but you just raised what the exceeding or the max is for that limit, that's not really taking care of driver safety, is it? No. Why did you raise it? Now, it would have been different had they came and said, listen, all cars got to come up 7 millimeters so we can decrease this vertical acceleration that is also going to be compounded with the attributes of the track. That's different if they did that. So I agree with you. That doesn't sound right? It doesn't sound very right or good, but it wasn't suiting any or other team. The same team that was been running away was going to run away with it. Red Bull. So definitely on that. Galacticus, they going to give Perez a duck and Max a rocket. Damn. So this going to be Max. Matter of fact, hold on. Let me see. Let me put the right emojis up here. I got to do a combination because that was pretty funny. So this is going to be Perez. The first emoji is Perez. The next emoji is Max. So something like that. Is it something like that, bro? Is that how it's going to be looking out here? Oh, my gosh. We having fun. Perez is the turtle. Max is the other car. It's going to be looking something like that. I'm just trying to tell you. It's going to be crazy. Oh, my God. Let me get rid of this damn spam. How did they even get in here? This should be killing me, man. I got to report these guys every time with this selling sex on the chat. It is ridiculous. So, yeah, is that how it's going to look? I don't know. If so, that's something to be said. But big shout out as we start closing. Big shout out to Gasly. Big shout out to DeVries. Very well earned and deserved. DeVries coming in, doing what he does. And it's funny that AlphaTauri, that Red Bull was going to try to get Colton Herter in there. They was such a rush to get him in. DeVries comes off his couch in the motorhome, puts an underperforming team's car in the qualifying, then takes that same car and puts it into points his very first Formula race, saying, you don't need to fudge super license points, Formula One. You just need to look at the products and the drivers who have made their way through the feeder feeder series correctly and have done things in Formula One, and you got what you need right there. I'm not opposed to Colton coming over, but DeVries showed them that you got drivers right here in the garages that can be competitive. Put us in the car. DeVries drove like 3 cars in 2 weeks. The Mercedes. What? Then he drove the Aston for practice. Then he came and drove the Williams for qualifying. Then took the Williams in the race and put it in points. Now he's sitting in AlphaTauri. Just saying. So big shout out. Well earned, all right? So big shout out to him. Gasly, I hope things work out for him as he was like buying the biggest knee pads to try to plead his way back into Red Bull. Now has an opportunity, like Daniel Rick, has an opportunity in Alpine in better form than they were 2 seasons ago as Renault. And now we'll have the opportunity to prove to us, can Gasly step up to mid-tier real-level racing and exceed that? We might see him good in Alpine and do nothing different than what we've been seeing, and that's an indictment on Gasly. Just saying. Ernie, I have been doing the reporting all hey, I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. Big ups. So, yeah, so big shout out to them. Like I was saying, I will be live. I'm waking up at midnight to make my French toast. I'm going to be watching the race. We're going to be live like we always are every race weekend after. I'm telling you, I'm going to be here. I will set the Wolves members link up. I'll set that up for us. Now, that itself, maybe I'll set up for a later time in the morning. The races typically are around, so maybe I will set that one up for like 9 instead of the Wolves Den being right after finale lap. But finale lap is happening in true, real form. Nick could not get out the car, was fighting hard. I'm telling you. I like it. He on point, and I hope to see good things from Nick DeVries with AlphaTauri. I hope to see good things from him. I really do. I'm looking forward to him getting in that car and having the opportunity and making the most of it. He deserves it. He really does. So I'm looking forward to that. Gasly, you got your opportunity. Hopefully you do something with it, because you've been begging to get back in Red Bull, and now you have an opportunity with a team that might suit your personality just a little bit better and give you an opportunity to not be in such an environment as Red Bull, and you kind of progress. You didn't excel at Red Bull. So maybe you'll excel at Alpine and hope to see you there. Mick, Latifi, things ain't looking great for y'all, especially Latifi. Mick, you on your last toenail. Danny Rick deserves a seat with Williams or Haas, and that's how I'm ending this. So big shout out to y'all. I'm going to see y'all in several hours from now live. Let's hope this race is a good one. Let's hope we don't get rained out. Let's hope we can have a good dry race and things happen. I understand some people like, we're just going to see Red Bull run away with it. And I'm here to tell you this. Even if Max clinches the championship ex Suzuka, I'm still watching Formula One just as adamantly and passionately as I have been. That doesn't change things for me. I still want to see teams compete. I still want to see what's going to happen. I still want to see if teams are going to progress. I still want to see if teams are going to improve strategy. I still want to see if drivers will prove it. I still want to see when teams give these other drivers opportunities to practice. I want to see all of that still. Don't let that shy you away from watching the sport. Come on now. We didn't do that when Lewis Hamilton clinched early. We're not doing it when Max clinches early. Let's keep the same energy. Wolf, where is the honey buns? I had the honey. Hey, you didn't see my announcement. I said new emoji coming. I got you. The new emoji is coming. It will be posted today. I will announce it, and it will be ready today before the race. Guaranteed. It's going to be ready. The new emoji is going to be ready. I promise you. I promise you, the new emoji. Trust me, when I get off this live stream, I'm already going to be working on it. I got you. Mary. I got you. All right, so y'all stay up. I'm going to see y'all later. Be safe. Let's hope to see a good race. Thank everybody for contributing, participating. Galacticus, I got my stuff set for you right here. Galacticus won the trivia package earlier. I'm going to start doing that for qualifying. And because qualifying is for subscribers only, all right? Subscribers only for qualifying. And because of that, I'm going to start doing like a little trivia game every other qualifying, and I'll send out keychain Wolfpack holographic sticker to those who win the trivia challenge. So that's what I'm going to start doing. Galacticus is the first person to win that challenge. Shout out to you. I will be getting that together and sending it out to you. So I will see you all later. I'm hungry. Got to go eat and get the emoji together. Peace.